Once Sayyidina Imam Azam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi ta'ala went to the wuzu area of the Jamia Masjid in Kufa, where he saw a young man making wuzu. Drops of water were dripping from him. As when you performing the wuzu, then water obviously drips from you. The Imam said, "O my son, repent from disobeying your parents." The young man looked at him and replied, "I have repented." Then he saw drops of water dripping during the wuzu of another person. And the Imam said to him, "O my brother, repent from fornication." The man replied, "I have repented." Then, having seen the drops of water dripping during wuzu of another person, the Imam said to him, "Repent of drinking alcohol and listening to songs and music." He replied, "I have repented." You see, Sayyidina Imam Azim Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi ta'ala was blessed. He had the power of spiritual insight and he could see the faults of people. Therefore, he made dua to Allah Azza wa Jal, "Ya Allah, take back this power. I don't want this power." And Allah answered his dua. And thereafter, he was no longer able to see the sins of people that were being washed away during the wuzu. He had this ability, Allah Azza wa Jal given this ability, that when people were doing the wuzu, the drops that were coming off them, through them drops of water, he could see the sins that they were committing. And this troubled him, that he could see other people's sins. And so he requested, "Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, please take this power away from me." And Allah Azza wa Jal answered his dua, and thereafter, he no longer had this ability where he could see the sins of other people. So from this parable we have just heard, we have also learned that our Imam, Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi ta'ala, was granted with great power and dignity. He could perform such miracles through the sainthood that he was given. He could see the evils of people in the water they used during the wuzu. Undoubtedly, this was a great miracle. But he did not like to be aware of the faults of people. So he made this dua. He made this dua that, "Ya Allah, take this power away from him." This power was taken away from him. So we should learn a lesson from this. Remember, unintentionally trying to find out the faults of a Muslim without a Shari need or revealing his fault is a sin and haram. And this act can lead you to the hellfire. Regarding the prohibition of finding faults with others, Allah Azza wa Jalla stated in Surah Al-Hujarat, part 26, verse 12. And I give you the translation from Kanzul Iman. "And do not look for faults." Allahu Akbar. "And do not look for faults." Allama Maulana Sayyid Mufti Muhammad Nimuddin Murabadi rahmatullahi ta'ala stated regarding this verse, "Do not pick out faults with Muslims, nor be in search of hidden information about others." The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was reported to have said, "Avoid having suspicion. Suspicion is a very untruthful thing, and do not find faults with Muslims. Do not have greed. Do not feel jealousy. Do not bear malice or be cruel to them. O bondsmen of Allah Azza wa Jal, remain brothers of each other as you have been commanded. A Muslim is a brother of another Muslim. He should not be cruel to him. He should not disgrace him." He then pointed towards his blessed chest and he said, "Piety is here, piety is here, piety is here." But dear Islamic brothers, we've just heard about suspicion. And suspicion is something that, unless we are very careful, it can take us. There's a saying in English, Chinese whispers. Yeah? And Chinese whispers is where someone will say something to you and it's passed along through the information. And as it gets further and further along, passed along to other people, the person that's heard it last has completely changed what he has heard in the first position. I can give you an example, and it does happen this. Picture the situation. A Muslim brother, he's walking down the street, and here in the UK there are still those establishments that sell alcohol. They're called pubs in this country. Imagine, a brother, let's call him Ali for the sake of this story. Ali is walking past a pub. Someone sees him, and someone has this suspicion that maybe Ali was coming out of the pub. Yeah, maybe he was coming out of the pub. So he says to another brother, he said, "You know what? I saw Ali in front of the pub. Yeah. I don't know whether he's coming out or what, I don't know." Now that person passes on to another person. "You know what? Someone saw Ali coming out of a pub." Yeah, astaghfirullah. Yeah. And then also that will get to the next person, and someone said, "You know what? Ali was drinking in a pub." Allah, 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 Allah. It then gets to another person, and this person, is the true story as it's passing on through people and people, it comes to the point where people are now saying, "You know what? Ali na'udhu billah is an alcoholic. He's drinking alcohol every day." Now, if in this particular instance, for example, if we were to approach that brother and say to Ali, "Brother, you know what? I saw you in front of the pub, everything all right, you're not up to anything, are you? And if he was to say, brother, why are you worried? I was just crossing the road to go and buy some bread and milk, and obviously the pub was in the way, and I was just crossing the road. I don't drink alcohol. But because we didn't confront that brother, because we didn't question that brother, and because we made these assumptions, and then these assumptions, this suspicion, as we were talking about earlier on, and then this suspicion is passed to other people, then what happens is that because of this suspicion, we've laid it down, and from a person that was just going to the shop to buy some groceries, because of our suspicion, because of our not confronting that brother, because of passing this message on to others, it's finally got down to a point where people in the community are now saying that this particular brother is an alcoholic. So beware of suspicion. We need to be very, very careful with suspicion. Indeed, fortunate are those Muslims who mind their own business by keeping their nafs in check, instead of finding faults with others. They remain busy continuously removing their own faults, and this is what we should be doing. Furthermore, if they somehow become aware of the faults of other Muslims brothers, then instead of being tempted by shaitan and exposing their faults, they conceal them for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they become deserving of rewards in the hereafter. It is wise that whenever you feel like talking about the faults of somebody else, start removing your own faults by focusing your attention on them. By Allah Azza wa Jal, this is a great privilege.